Hello, how are you?
I am terrific, and I'm so glad you're sitting there with your beautiful bride because the question I have for you, and you're
Uh,
not to interject there, Cheryl, but my question is if if you have started some new people in your business and they are a married couple or a couple who wants to build the business together, what would your advice be on how to best handle prospecting clients?
oh, okay, great. Honestly, to tell you the truth, if it's a couple and they are joint or doing a business together, as long as they're in sync with doing the business together, uh, the way that I tell them to prospect is honestly prospect the people that they know as a couple, prospect them together if they can. If you're going to talk to other couples, it would be great to actually be couple on couple because honestly, to tell you the truth, when Cheryl and I talk to a couple, Cheryl brings some things to the table that I'd never even entered my mind,
Mhm.
and vice versa. So I think that's really good. But also, when you work as a couple, you know people who individually. So I know people that Cheryl don't really know, and she know people I don't know. So you still are going to go out and introduce this opportunity to anyone who shows that they need what you have. So
Mhm.
honestly, how do you prospect? The same way you would if you were single. You're going to listen to someone's needs and see if you have the answer for their needs. But as a couple, it's great when Cheryl and I could get together and say, "Hey, you guys want to go out for dinner or something?" And while we're sitting there at dinner, it's gonna come up. Something is gonna come up. So yeah, prospect at opportunities when you can prospect with another couple as a couple. That's great. But then one on one is fine too. Okay. So
Excellent.
I hope I answered that question for you,
You,
Nicole.
you did, and I have a little bit of a follow-up question if you don't mind. So my follow-up
Okay.
would be if you are prospecting someone who is married and their spouse is not building the business with them, how do you how do you recommend that they handle that? And how do you, I mean, not like we're marriage counselors or anything, but
Right.
how would be your advice for someone who is a married couple, but the other person or spouse is either able, not interested, in order to keep a little peace in the household about their plan B?
Sure. The big thing that you want to find out number one, the couple's marriage is the most important thing. Okay, but there are so many. How can I say this? There are so many variables to this situation. So you can have an individual who want to do the business, and their spouse is totally against it and is belligerent against it. That's one area. So that's a personal relationship that they need to work out. Okay. Now there are also some spouses who are like, "Hey, that's your thing. Do what you want to do. I'm out of it."
Mhm.
So that's a different scenario. I'm going to help that individual. We're going to help that individual just like we would anybody else. But now, and in hopes that that other spouse will eventually try the product, see the benefit, see some monetary benefit. A lot of times, those spouses will come later on. But if there's one spouse who's saying, "Nope, I don't want to do anything with it," the first thing we do is ask, "Hey, are you a decision maker? Are you capable of making this decision on your own? Are you capable of running this business on your own? Because it is work." So if they're not the one who's the decision maker, I mean, can you? Cause we'll talk to someone. They're like, "Yes, I want to do this. I want to do this." They say, "Well, let me go and talk to my spouse and make sure it's okay." It's like, okay, wait a minute, hold on. Bring your spouse here so we can get the information to your spouse. But the big thing is, hey, if you're the decision maker, you can put your stuff together. We've heard all kinds of things. Folks saying, "Look, I had to sell my hot tub to get the money so that I could get started." And now, I'm making, 6, 7 figures a year. So it really, the passion of the person, the desire of the person that want it, they could do it. So it's not our decision as to whether or not they're going to do the business, but we will ask them questions that will help us understand whether or not they can do the business without
Right.
being without getting into too much hot water, I'll say. Okay.
Excellent.
I hope that
That
makes
was
sense.
a great answer. Thank you so much. If anyone's listening to this call, you definitely want to take some notes and make sure that you're talking to the person who sponsored you. And if you need some help with that situation, Al and Cheryl can certainly give you some pointers and tips on how to approach that. Great answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole.
Turn the call over to Kat to ask the question of your beautiful bride.
Hello.
Hi, Kat.
I love y'all. All right. So, Cheryl, your background was in nursing, not in sales, right? So it's a completely different skill set. So how did you find the transition going from nursing into Zija? What was the biggest challenge? How did you overcome it? And then what do you love most about it?
Wow. Hi. Well, thank you, Kat, for the question. Well, let me see. The biggest thing that I found challenging changing over, I guess it would be, let me think about that. Because there were a lot of things that were still kind of similar, but was on a different plane. For instance, being motivated to do what you have to do, that was something that, was still in nursing because you kind of worked in a group, but you were by yourself. So I guess I would say my biggest challenge would be the day-to-day, I guess, with Al. So that's the biggest challenge. I can't think of anything else. And it's about, the meshing of us doing things together and respecting each other's role, because we both bring different things to the table. So I guess it would be learning to work like I would in a traditional setting, to bring that home and to work in partnership with my spouse, because I can't always look at him as my husband. I have to look at him as my partner, so not just in marriage, but in business. So I think, what was the other thing? What did I love?
What do you love most about it?
The biggest thing that was a challenge is also the biggest thing that I love. I mean, Al and I, we've waited for a moment where we could work together. I'm just glad it worked out and we weren't trying to throttle one another. But I'm actually, I feel blessed. I feel very gracious that I get to wake up every day with my best friend and be able to do the thing that we love so much, which is helping people. We both love freedom for different reasons. And, I became patriotic because of my husband. And, now bringing freedom to other people, and me knowing how people can be captive in diseases or in health challenges or in financial, situations and challenges, to be able to bring some peace and hope, to other people. This is what we've longed to do for so long, and it's just a blessing that we get to wake up every day and help other people. So I don't know if I answered your question. I hope I did.
You did. It was wonderful. Thank you.
Awesome.